to another Shearer Smokes. Again, back in the armchair in the Shearer Cigar Lounge. It's a bit of a late night one tonight. I'm just trying to make the most of the last hours I have of my time off before returning to work. In fact, by the time this video is uploaded, I should already be back at work. But anyway, making the most of it and doing it in a bit of style. And you may be wondering why I've got the glad rags on. Well, the purpose of this video is it's actually a two-bit video. The first part is a wee mini VR to my good friend Smokey Dan. Now Smokey Dan did a video a few days ago where he was just heading off to work, and I've seen cigar post from Dan, and he always looks very dapper when going to the office. And this particular video, Dan spoke about presenters that he had known in the past that had always dressed really smart while doing their presenting their videos, and he was just giving a little nod to them and set up a little mini challenge for those that were interested in maybe dressing up in your Sunday best, as it were, for your next video presentation. So Dan, I hope this meets with your approval. Now, going with the kind of theme, I'm going for the Savinelli cocktail, and this is the 614 with the fishtail stem. And in the bowl, sticking with Savinelli, and it's the Armonia. Now, it's probably a bit later than cocktail hour. Not really a cocktail, but it's a Sicilian lemon cider. Cheers. This is actually going really nicely with the Armonia, to be honest. Very nice. So yeah, it's just a little homage to Smokey Dan. The second part of the video is it's another VR, and this time it's to Hobbiton Piper, Kevin, out there in Missouri, the heartland of America. I just love when Kevin opens up his videos with that line. Now Kevin Hobbiton Piper is doing a 500 subs GAW, which is quite amazing, and the goodie box that he's putting together is well, you'd have to go and look for yourself. It's actually quite stunning, the stuff he's put together, and there's going to be one very, very lucky winner when the prize is drawn for that one. So the question that he set to do with the giveaway, it was all about the movies. And Kevin wanted to know what movies or movie kind of grabbed you in a particular scene that caused either to burst out laughing, maybe brought tears, just grabbed you in some way emotionally and has stuck with you. Now, when I got thinking, I thought it would be quite an easy question to do actually, but the more I thought about it, the more I realised it's actually quite a hard task he's set. I mean, one movie that sprung to mind, which I first saw when it came out in 1979, I think, and it's this one here. It came out in 1979, I think, and it's this one here. Yeah, so that was the Champ, of course, and I'm sure many of you already know the scene that springs to mind. That came out in 1979, I believe, with John Voight, and I think I must have been about 12, probably 13, 14 maybe at the latest, when I first saw it, back in the days of Betamax video. We're talking really old school there. Um, and yeah, that scene at the end, that really did, it stuck with me for quite a while. In fact, I didn't watch that film again until I was in probably my 30s, I think. And by that time, I was already a father myself. And I thought, I'm a big boy now. I'll be able to handle it. I know when the scene's coming up, I'll be fine. And of course I wasn't. There was floods of tears again. And yeah, that's the second and last time I'd actually watched that film. I don't think there'll be a third. I'm not sure. Never say never, but I can't see myself wanting to watch that again. Um, but the film I want to talk about for the VR for Kevin is a film that grabbed me mainly because of the way it was shot, the fact it's a true story, the soundtrack involved, um, just the whole way the story unfolds, um, and it's the film Into the Wild. So yeah, Into the Wild first appeared as a book in 1996 by John Cracker, who had picked up the story of the true events of the main character Christopher. So the movie itself came out in 2007, directed by Sean Penn, and it's just brilliantly shot. The soundtrack is awesome. The scenery, the characters that Christopher meets along the way, which actually help um, shape Christopher as a young man, is just a joy to watch on screen. But the scene I wish to talk about, which it grabs me every time I've watched this movie, um, is when Christopher, having survived months and months of the Alaskan wilderness through winter, uh, decides one morning, I believe, that he's ready to go home. If you've watched the movie, you might have a different view, but if you haven't watched the movie, then please do watch it and let me know what you think. But I believe that he wakes up this morning and decides that he's done enough. He's proven to himself he could survive the wilderness. Um, as a young boy, Chris grew up reading all the Jack London stories, and he had this burning desire to test himself in the wilderness. And it's something that strikes a chord with me because, as you'll have seen in some of my past videos, I have the hills just on my doorstep, and I love just getting out and spending the day out there. Um, and if it was practical, then yeah, I would love to go out and spend days on end out there and just surviving. But Chris, as a young man, he did it, and he just turned his back on his whole life and headed out there. And yeah, he did survive for all those months before deciding to head back. And the scene that I often think about is when he's packed up his gear, he's left his base camp, which happened to be an old school minibus, which had been abandoned for some surreal reason, and decides to head home. And as he packs up his stuff, he trudges off back down to the river where he first crossed all those many months ago, only to find that because the winter is now thawing, that the river is now twice the height it was, and it's just a raging current and just impossible to pass. And at that point, he decides, wrongly, as it turns out, to head back to base camp and wait it out. And it's just such an emotive scene because you know what's going to be happening, you know what's going to happen next, because it's a true story. So all the info's out there, um, and I find myself every time I watch it just pleading for him to trudge on a few kilometres more, as it's now known if he had carried on further down the river, there was actually a logging station uh, in the area, and he would have found help there. But Chris decides to head back to camp and wait it out. And yeah, it does tug on the heartstrings because it was a fateful decision. And yeah, it's a great film and well shot, and that whole scene is pivotal to the story. There's a scene further on where Chris has a standoff with a bear, and Chris is, at this point, is desperately ill. He's at death's door basically, and as both parties stare off at each other, the bear is probably as hungry as Chris is, and decides as he sniffs the air that Chris isn't actually that viable a meal for the bear, and trudges off into the woods. And you can just tell by the way that scene is shot, that Chris realizes, although he's escaped this confrontation with a bear, um, he knows himself that the bear has decided that Chris wasn't worth it, and yeah, that just sets the tone for the final part of the movie. But it's a great story, and well worth checking out, and even going further. There's loads of info, as I said, out there on the internet all about Christopher and his life, and as I said, well worth checking out. And there was actually a roll of film that was found that was undeveloped, and there's quite an emotive picture, one of the last pictures that he took of himself, and I'll put that in at the end. So yeah, so Kevin, that's the scene. I would say has grabbed me the most from the movies. Quite a hard task you set, as I said at the beginning. Very hard to choose one, but yeah, that's the one I would go with. So yeah, thanks very much for tuning in and listening to me waffling on there. I hope it's given you a bit of interest. If you haven't watched the movie, to go on and check it out for yourself, or maybe go back and watch it again. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank everybody that has taken the time to answer my little giveaway question that I set. Some great answers coming in, which is good to see. And there's still a couple of weeks left, so if you have the time, please drop a comment on the original post, and or do a VR if you have the time, as I said. Always look forward to those. And the weekend has now come to a close, and I'm going to enjoy what's left in the bowl before I have to retire for the evening and be up for work in the morning. So yeah, so thanks again for tuning in. I hope you've all had a great weekend. Have a great week, everybody, and until next time, my name's Shearer. Enjoy your smokes.